Trump supporters are now upset with Donald Trump's immigration policies because they are directly affecting them and their families. Now, this is specifically Cuban American Trump supporters who thought likely that Donald Trump's policies wouldn't affect them at all. It would only affect people that didn't like Trump, that he didn't like, but not them. Take a look at what Congresswoman Salazar had to say, who is a Cuban American and a Trump supporter. I'm urging Homeland Security to protect Cubans awaiting legal status adjustment through the Cuban Adjustment Act. Don't penalize them for Biden's screw-ups. Well, I have news for you, Ms. Salazar. This is not Biden who is doing this. This is happening to your constituents, their family members, to Cubans looking to come to America because of Donald Trump. You campaigned alongside him. He told you what he was going to do, and it was going to affect everybody. Now, I, for one, actually feel bad for the people who want to come here and have a better life. But for the people who voted for Donald Trump, this is what you get. Welcome to the find out phase. Hope you enjoy your stay.
Me, Cubans are the whitest of all Hispanics.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode, and I really do appreciate your love and support on this channel. So on our today's episode, it's another season of F Around and Find Out. As of the recent reports, there are over 35,000 of Cubans nations in the US with orders of removal, while only a small fraction remain in immigration custody. Majority are residing in the community but could face deportation proceedings. This is after Trump's administration has expanded the use of expedited removals, allowing for the rapid deportation of certain immigrants without court hearings. This policy affects immigrants who've been in the US for less than 2 years and cannot prove legal status, potentially impacting many Cubans. Furthermore, I'm sure that you have seen in the latest news that the new administration has started transferring undocumented migrants, including Cubans, to a detention facility. I want us to watch these videos together, guys. Every clip and every stitch that you'll be seeing on our today's episode, credits belongs to the original creators of these videos. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my good name is Gracey D. Kindly consider subscribing to this channel. Give this video a like. Let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. So let's dive right ahead and we'll come back with more commentary.
Almost 50,000 Cubans from the Miami area in Florida are facing deportations. That's because thousands of those Cubans filed for political asylum and were granted political asylum, except they went back and visited their homeland of Cuba. Well, the big deal is that when you file for political asylum, you're declaring that your life is in danger in your home country. And by these Cubans going back to Cuba to visit, that means that the entire process of the political asylum was fraud. The application asked for political asylum seekers to give detail of why they can't go back to their country, why their lives are in danger in their homeland. And Cubans gave those statements that their life was in danger if they ever went back to Cuba. So going back to visit Cuba after you've been granted political asylum indicates that these Cubans have been granted political asylum based on false information. Now, it's no secret, Cubans played a huge role on the re-election of Donald Trump. And a lot of them feel let down by this administration because now they're being sent back home. So I'm going to ask all the Latino community, and I will do the same, to please hold a moment of silence for the thousands of Cubans who now are going to be forced to go back to the island. So anyway,
as you may have heard, many Cubans with permanent residency may now be facing deportation after having returned to Cuba with their permanent residence card. And this is because when you file for asylum and you are granted asylum, and many of these individuals obtain their permanent residency after seeking asylum successfully, they are essentially saying that they're scared to return to their home country. And so when they did return to Cuba, now they are being flagged for committing fraud. And if in fact you travel back to your home country, whether you're from Cuba or not, if you have asylum granted and you are now a permanent resident, you should be very, very wary of traveling back to your home country and not being placed in secondary inspection when you re-enter the United States. It is obvious that you're going to be flagged, and I've been saying this for many years, you shouldn't even travel back if you are a U.S. citizen and you became a U.S. citizen by way of permanent residency, by way of an asylum granted. At any point, you are subject to a review of that. And if it is determined that you became a U.S. citizen through fraud or a permanent resident through fraud, they can try and place you in removal proceedings to take away your citizenship and or your permanent residency. So let this be a warning for anybody considering returning to your home country after affirmatively and successfully getting asylum in the United States, because this will likely flag immigration and give them a reason to place you in removal proceedings in an attempt to strip you of your status.
No, it's not funny. It's really not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just very ironic and crazy how can I say this? Throughout the election, I saw so many Cubans, Venezuelan, a bunch of Latinos saying with their whole chest, not voting for Kamala. There was this guy even that he was getting harassed by his neighbor that didn't even want him around, but he carried his Trump flag, proud to vote for Trump. But I just wanted to come out here and let them know and ask if they have seen Trump's plan. Have they seen who Trump have elected to run the immigration and his plan for the mass deportation? He has elected the two most anti-immigrant that he could possibly find. And did you see that he has announced that he's gonna cancel the CBP 1 and the humanitarian parole? Do you know who that affects? Do you know who that affects? Do you know where he's planning on sending you coming January? He actually even warned you guys to pack your bag and save him the time and save you for humiliation. I don't know if you guys are following everything that's happening. I mean, I would hope you'll be following because that affects you directly. But what bothers me is the fact that you truly did not believe that Trump would carry his plan. You did not. And that blows my mind. It makes absolutely no sense for you guys to sit and say, afraid of socialist dictator, and you turned around and voted for one. Anyway, good morning.
For those that know me well, I'm a very political guy, and anyway, so I was reading this article where the Cuban community was outraged because a Cuban citizen was being deported back to Cuba, and I just couldn't help it but to just wonder, now that laws are changing on immigration and Cubans will be treated just like everybody else that comes to the United States, and once asylum and refugee, whatever you want to call that, have to go through the entire process just like everybody else. Are those Cubans from Florida, whatever you want to call it, gonna change their mind and their views on immigration now that they will be treated no different, even though those Cuban Americans feel like they're the shit and they feel like no other immigrants should come to the United States illegally, but their grandparents did. My question is, are they gonna change the way they vote in Florida? Because I'm sure they have family in Cuba, just like we all do back in our homes, Are they going to change their views on immigration, on the immigration laws, and change the way they vote? Or are they just going to continue to vote for this dumbass Marco Rubio and the other guy, dos Santos, whatever the fuck his name is? Are they going to change the way they vote? Or they're just going to be like, whatever, we here. We got papers. We citizens. We don't give a fuck about them Cubans from Cuba. Anyways, I was just wondering, But yeah, I'm just glad that in some way everybody, if I have to follow the process or I gotta get deported because I'm Mexican, shit, everybody else needs to be treated the same. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're all looking for a better life, and I know it's wrong to get deported because most of the people, I'm not gonna say it all, but 90% of the people that come to this country illegally or legally are looking for the same thing, looking for a better life. But it just really, really irritates me that all these Cubans from Florida, they're like, oh, American citizen, my fit is dry, deport everybody else, not close the borders. Anyways.
So guys, that is what's happening. And the funny part about this F around and find out season that I'm actually coming across is that no one lied to these people. From everything that I'm seeing people regretting, people starting hashtag living MAGA, and I'm like sitting here and wondering, like, what were you guys listening to when this guy was talking? You guys were told to like go through the project 2025. Most people are like, no, that has nothing to do with Trump. That has nothing to do with Trump's administration. And I was like, there were so many people writing articles on this. Trump has said so many times, and one of actually his controversial policy during his campaign was mass deportation, and he promised that he'll start mass deportation the first day that he gets in office. It didn't even take him time to start detaining immigrants that are undocumented. And I've actually seen even people who've been working legally in the States, who've been sent to different countries than where they're supposed to be. And families are just seeing them on videos, on news, and they're like, starting seeking for help because of what's happening. And I watched this video and I read one of these comments that actually this lady said, out of all deportations, this one makes me the happiest. For decades, Cubans thought they were so much better than all other legal migrants because of the Cuban Adjustment Act that gave Cubans and their families access to green card and other immigration benefits as soon as they step foot on the American soil. They used this to look down on other immigrants who had to go through years of hard work and legal work to get their citizenship. That's why Cubans have been able to make it faster than other immigrants, and they think they are better than all other immigrants and minorities. You see, it's quite sad that most cases that have been coming across about these people that are actually getting deported, most of these communities or these people, they actually believe they are way better than other people. They are way better than the African Americans, which is quite sad. I mean, these are people like have been living here for years. These are people that have actually tried everything possible they can. These are people who put their lives in the front line to go march, protest for each and every other citizen in the United States of America to get equal rights. This includes even the palm-colored women in the United States of America. And I actually saw this woman who, I saw this melanated woman who came online and said, these palm-colored women, they don't know that they were not free until the melanated people got freedom. And actually that hit me so hard, and I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, actually that's true, because the number of palm-colored women that I've seen getting laid off their jobs because of DEI, they were DEI hires and they didn't know all these privileges that they were getting from DEI. They thought these were things that were there for them just because they're palm and just because of their race. They thought that other people didn't deserve it, only for them to realize after all these years, I've actually been benefiting from what that was actually supposed to benefit the melanated people, that was actually supposed to benefit African American people in the United States of America. And they benefited from this. Now This is Cubans. They benefited from, getting all these benefits in the United States of America. They came in the States, some of them lying that actually they cannot go back to their countries, taking opportunities of other asylum seekers that have would taken, but they took this opportunity to themselves. I know situations can be hard in your country, but you went there lying, and maybe you made a person who was gonna get this chance, missed this chance because you got that chance, you went there, lied, and all that, which is quite sad. And that is how you effed around, and now they say karma is a yeah. Yeah, and now karma is actually hitting back at you. And now people are on social media after campaigning so hard. They're on social media crying and seeking for help for these mass deportations, which is quite sad, guys. And now sitting here, I've been thinking since this Efron and Find Out season started, since people started realizing that, man, we effed everything. We effed every opportunity that we had. We effed and voted against our own best interests because of hate, misogyny, which is quite sad. Now people are out there regretting everything. And for a minute, I started feeling sorry for these people. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? You're wrong. Because these people actually voted against their own best interest, because they only voted for policies that favor them. And they were like, all these other policies are going to affect the minorities. All these other politics are going to affect my people. All these other policies are going to affect, the colored people. But now they are being affected by these, and people are coming online crying. Have you all seen the hashtag Living MAGA, which is quite crazy? Have you all seen people coming on social media crying and regretting their vote, which is quite sad? And most of the time, I say, most of these people voted the way they voted because they didn't want a black woman in office. And most of you tell me on the comment section, Kamala is not black and all that. I understand you guys, but thinking about these people, look at her as a black person. She may not be black, as you are saying on the comment section and telling me and attacking me that she's not a black woman. But most of these people that didn't vote for her, they all look at her as a melanated woman, and that's why they didn't want her in office. They would come with all the excuses about the illegal immigrants, about the grocery prices, about the border control and all that. But the real reason is that they saw her as a black woman, and the thought of them having a black woman in office would not let them vote for what was for their best interest. Instead, they voted against everything that was working for them. And it's quite sad, guys. But I hope this is actually gonna be a moment of people realizing that hate doesn't pay at all. Hate can cost you a lot more than you think. And for people to learn that next time they'll go through the policies and look through all the policies, not only the policies that they feel that actually favor them, but all the policies that these politicians have. And just remember, as always, I always tell people, politics is just a business, just like any other business, and everyone wants to make profit and everyone wants to make something out of it. So they'll promise you things that they'll not deliver. They'll promise you things that will make you happy at that moment. But when they get in that office, like how are eggs prices right now? How much are you buying for your groceries? How much are you spending when you walk in that store to buy groceries? When most of you actually voted for grocery prices to go down. Yeah, these are just politicians, and they're all the same. Doesn't matter if they're in the States, doesn't matter if they're in UK, in Africa, in Asia, or any other parts of the world. Politicians are politicians, and there's nothing that's ever gonna change about that. We have to keep that in mind. Let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. Thank you so much for watching up to this part, and until the next episode, bye.